racket, and it's a perfected racket. It's racketeering. They have perfected a racket, like at the Charles B. Webster Detention Center when they kept asking me, are you ready to have your picture and fingerprints taken? Are you ready to have your picture and fingerprints taken?
Yeah.
They weren't. They were wording that a specific way so that they wouldn't say, may we take your picture and fingerprints? They don't want that because, may you? No, you may not. What are you going to do with them? So they have to word it a certain way so that the person in the jail cell is unwittingly giving up that jurisdiction, giving away their biometrics. It's just, it's sick and twisted, and they know it. That's the thing. The cops, the lawyers, the judges, the prosecutors, the public defenders, the probation officers, everybody, they are just they know it, and they don't care, and they're just, that's why I think they're the worst people, because they're literally part of a problem that doesn't need to be the way that it is, but no one's willing to step up and make a change. So I decided when I resigned from the Department of Defense, I was like, you know what, I'm going to step up, I'm going to make a change. I've been through hell before. I don't care if I go through hell again. I'm just going to make this my focus because I'm so mad that this is garbage. I can't live with everyone being oppressed and indoctrinated and brainwashed and killed and oppressed and persecuted and poisoned, all the different ways that it's going on. It's just insanity. And, I have to do something about it. So I figured this is my world. I want to make it the way I want it to be, and I want it to be a clean, nice, nonviolent, fun, happy place where there's no poverty and homelessness and war. And so that's what I'm going for in all of this.
Well, that's very admirable, of course, of you standing up for your rights and trying to educate others in this regard for their rights as well. The only thing I would throw out in the defense of some of these people that are in the system that we were just mentioning, I would imagine most of them, in my experience anyway, you really have no clue about some of the details that we're talking about here today. I would say that even most of the judges out there have not been trained in this constitutional kind of questions that we're raising today. So, it's folks like yourself coming forward and talking about these things and getting people interested in them. That's what's going to change the system. We need to do it, each individual one at a time. And I commend you for doing that, Ronald. And by the way, we've given out your email address at farnham.ronald@gmail.com. Is there a website or a Facebook page you'd like to send people to as well?
Yeah, my Facebook page is ronald.farnham, so they can hit me up there on Facebook. And I have a couple of Facebook pages, but that's the one to go to. And then if I run out of friend space on there, I can always send you the other Facebook links. I'm easy to find on there if you just type in Ronald Farnham, but it's ronald.farnham. And then if people want to message me also, you don't even have to email me. You can message me directly on Facebook, and I can still send you all that documentation. The Path to Freedom, the promissory note templates, and my book, How to Write a Screenplay in 30 Days or Less.
Wow.
So, and I want people who contact me, here's something about the Constitution, and I know you've mentioned the Constitution a couple of times, and this is my understanding, and I want you to tell me if I'm wrong about this, but there's two different entities at work here with regards to the Constitution. One is the United States of America, and one is the United States. The United States of America, it's my understanding that, and I'm using the legal word understand, so,
Yeah.
This is how I'm seeing it. This is what I'm taking responsibility for as far as the information goes that I'm putting out there. And I just want to see what your take is on this. You got the United States of America, a corporation incorporated in Washington, the District of Columbia. The District of Columbia is not a state. It's a district. They can't even vote there. That's the place where the United States of America Corporation is incorporated. And the United States, which is only two words, United States, you got the United States of America, 4 words. You got the United States, 2 words. So the United States is a series of countries that we call states, but these countries are governed, and they're each sovereign territories with their own boundaries, their own jurisdiction, their own statutes and codes. So you got the two different entities, the United States of America and the United States. Now you got the United States of America has a constitution, we call it. And what is that constitution really? From my understanding, what I believe is that the constitution is really the articles of incorporation of the corporation, and that the preamble to the constitution is really the executive summary, because it even states in that executive summary or that preamble that it says we, the people, and the people are basically the members of that corporation. It's a membership. It's like citizen. We, the citizens, individuals, peoples, domiciled taxpayers, we, the people of the United States. So the United States wanted to form a company, to form a more perfect company, and provide welfare, defense, and liberties, which are military permissions given by a commander. So the United States of America formed a militant-type corporation where they would put everybody under this corporation, and you got their constitution is really the Articles of Incorporation, and it was the United States of we the people of the United States establish and ordain for the United States of America. So the people of the United States in the there in the preamble it says we the people of the United States, and at the end of the preamble it says establish and ordain for the United States of America. So you got two different entities mentioned there in that preamble, in that executive summary. So what you guys, the listeners, need to understand is that when you're thinking about being a patriot and a citizen and standing for the national anthem and putting your hand over your heart for the American flag, that flag is actually the corporate logo for that corporation in Washington District of Columbia. That national anthem is really the theme song for that corporation incorporated in Washington District of Columbia, and that corporation has hired another corporation, the Federal Reserve, and they're forcing you to earn these Federal Reserve notes, dollar bills, and pay taxes on them. And they're doing it under military oppression. If you don't do it, they'll send the police and they'll pull you out of your home and they'll throw you in a cell. So you got a corporation. That's why I say it's a corporation posing as a government. And they use words of art like the Constitution is really just a term that you used as a term of endearment. The American flag is an icon of endearment, and the national anthem is this song that you love that gives you this patriotic feeling. But it's all a mind control indoctrination trap to put you under the jurisdiction of a corporation that's using military power with your Federal Reserve notes as tax, using your tax money, which isn't even really money, to oppress you.
Yeah, Ronald, I couldn't have said it better if I tried to summarize exactly your thoughts on this regard. I mean, that is about probably the last 5 minutes of your statement here should prove food for thought for everyone, and I'm hoping that they will definitely take the step forward now and contact you and get more educated in this regard. I really appreciate the time that you've spent with me tonight. As we both can tell, we need to talk again in maybe 3 hours next time.
Oh,
and try to get into some of the real details that people need to know to educate themselves on exactly how to, conduct themselves in this strange world of different languages that we don't even know about there. So, Ronald Farnham, thank you very much for joining me tonight, and we will be following up with you, I'm sure, in the very near future.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for letting me be a little long-winded, too. I know I did most of the talking, but it's a lot of information, so I guess you were just going to basically let me get it out there, and I think you let me get it out, a really good, well-rounded amount of info, so I appreciate it.
No, that was my pleasure, and I appreciate you bringing up issues that people have no clue about, because that's exactly what we are trying to do here on Night Dreams Talk Radio. So you have yourself a wonderful night there, buddy.
All right, you too. Thanks, Michael, and I'll talk to you again soon. Have a good one.
You too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Oh, my goodness, folks. That was quite an interview. I'll tell you, Ronald Farnham, and I call him a constitutionalist, but he's much more than that. He's got some information from the inside that is inside the government even, and the military, that I think is very interesting for folks to actually learn about and to question. So I think what we'll try to do now is see if we can get our next guest on the line. and see
Hello.
if she is available. Hello, Joyce. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I was just playing the slot machines on my cell phone, waiting for you to call.
Well, I hope I didn't interrupt a great
No.
run that you had there.
Fun.
Well, listen, Joyce, I have just wrapped up with my first hour guest, Ronald Farnham, who is a real interesting constitutionalist guest. So we are really on a hot roll there. But I wanted to take now the time to bring you on to Night Dreams Talk Radio and introduce you, Joyce Isaacson, to our listening public. And we're going to talk about some of the amazing books that you have written and the recent one that is just coming out right now. Do you want to tell people what the title of your new book is?
Yes, it's called Wish You Were Here, Badfinger, a Rock Fantasy.
You are the only rock fantasy writer that I know and that has been able to really do a wonderful job of this whole idea that Badfinger, if some of the younger folks out there don't know who Badfinger is, what it was. It was let me just tell, it was a British rock band that was part of what we called in the old days, the baby boomers call the British invasion. That included, of course, at the top of the list, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and of course there was Badfinger as well into this same process. And you want to give maybe our listeners initially a little bit of a description or history about the group Badfinger?
Well, actually, Badfinger was first the Ivies, and they were signed by the Beatles' Apple label. I believe it was Paul or John. I'm not sure. I don't remember now. But they were signed, the first band, and everybody had high hopes for them, and they themselves had high hopes. And basically what happened was that Mel Evans was toting around their stuff, and that's how they were able to get into Apple. And
Joyce, let's just explain that Apple Records was the Beatles were so successful by that time that they had actually created their own record label, Apple Records.
Yes, they did. And basically what happened was that they got a manager, and this manager basically screwed them, took all their money. What they did was they brought, Apple was having problems, and they moved to Warner Brothers. And at Warner Brothers, they released at least 1, 2, 3 albums. But the first 2 albums, the best one was Wish You Were Here, which was the second album that they actually released. And what happened was the manager took from the escrow of Warner Brothers. And Warner Brothers decided to stop Wish You Were Here. And that put Badfinger in a terrible, terrible mess. And one of the members, he just bought a house. There was a baby on the way. And he, in the beginning, believed in this manager very much. And it turned out that the manager, he found out he was being screwed by near the end. And he killed himself.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. He hung himself. And the rest of the band...
Do you remember what year that was, Joyce?
1975.
Okay, 1975. Got it.
Yeah. And the band members broke up. And basically, a little later on, there was Joey Mullen. There was Mike Gibbons. There was Tom Evans. And, of course, Pete Ham, who had killed himself. Everybody was just in a terrible, terrible mess. Financially, they were in a lawsuit, and there was so much going on behind the scenes that they didn't even know what was going on. But Joey went to laying down carpets, and Tommy, who was a mechanical engineer, was actually, He was, I guess, doing pipes.